All right. Welcome back, Flyers fans. We're back here with another episode of The Florida Flyer. That's me. I'm the guy. Going to talk a little bit about our Flyers. 2-1 at this point. I'm recording it at 5:15 on Sunday. So, it could be worse, I guess. But 2-1 on a road trip. Feeling good about that, but we're going to get into that in just a little bit. The first thing I want to talk about, which is actually a pleasant surprise, I think, to this point, are goalies. The biggest problem in all of Philadelphia sports / hockey. The goaltending has been very good thus far. Michael Neuvirth, I only wrote great down next to him because he's only played one game, but he looked very good against the Kings. Went blow for blow with Jonathan Quick, who I think is a top 10 goalie in the NHL. Brian Elliott definitely looked more settled in the second game. Definitely more composed, stayed more square to the shooter. I don't like that he sits slightly further back in the net than I might be accustomed to, but he does go out and challenge. The only thing I saw that I didn't really like was him losing that or I guess costing us the lead with that one-on-one with Cam Fowler where he just kind of ripped the puck by him. I think that's one he should have, and I think if he was just standing up and didn't go down into the butterfly, most likely would have had that. But can't nitpick. We got 2 points on the night, so I'm not too upset about it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to. I'm hoping Michael Neuvirth starts in Nashville, and we're going to talk again about Nashville a little later because I have a bunch of notes. The next thing I want to talk about a little bit is our power play, our special teams play. I'm not really going to talk about the penalty kill because we really can't be much worse. Last year we were 21st in the league with a 78.9%. So it can't really get much worse than that. Hopefully it gets better. But the power play so far, as positive as it was in game one, it's looked relatively sloppy. We gave up that shorthanded goal, which I don't really like. It doesn't look cohesive. It looks like everybody's still trying to figure out everything when 4 of the 5 guys from Power Play 1 are back this season from last season and actually for the last few years. I don't think it should look that way. I know Knobloch is our new Power Play guy, but it's just it's not great looking forward. It looks forced. We keep going to make the cute pass, and I feel like that's a problem in 5-on-5 play as well. I feel like we're just looking to get the goalie completely out of position and shoot it at a wide open net. And it's kind of crazy to say because we did have 14 more shots on net than Anaheim tonight or last night. So Jake needs to shoot. That is something that I will stand by. I feel like he's just looking to get that, like I said, that cute pass, that extra pass, that, be selfish. Take that shot. That's the one thing I don't like Jeff Carter. Most Flyers fans don't like Jeff Carter, but that's the thing I miss most about Jeff Carter is that when he had an open lane, he let it rip. And, high and wide, around the boards, back to an odd man rush, that would suck, but at least he took shots. Very excited for Wade Allison, Flyers prospect. If you guys don't know about him, check him out. He's going to be that kind of guy. He's going to be that guy that kind of just takes shots. Filppula needs to be off of the power play 1 at least, maybe on power play 2, but I feel like there's enough talent there that you don't need to have him there. I honestly don't think he needs to be on the team, but that's just my opinion. Coots needs to not be on power play 2. He has 23 power play points in his career. 23. He's played for 6 seasons, so that is less than 4 points a season on the power play. I don't know why he's there. If you want to switch Filppula to that line so that you have Nolan Patrick and Filppula out at all times, fine. But Sean Couturier has no business being on the second power play. I don't know. That's how I feel about it. Filppula has 94 points on the power play. A little bit different. He's a more seasoned vet. He makes nice passes, has good possession, but I don't think either of those guys have a skill set of the selfish shoot mentality that I'm looking for in my power play. But I'm just a guy with opinions. None of this is fact, other than the points that I'm giving you and stuff. I look for that and I come up with that myself, but none of this is all strictly opinion based, and I would love to hear other opinions. If people feel differently, just feel free to reach out to me, talk to me on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, all that good stuff. I would love to see more controlled entries. I would love to see, the G to Jake play is the one that sticks out to me. They got the line and then passed it immediately to the off wing. Carry it into the zone. Get into the high danger areas. Get into, and like I have another note that says closer shots. Get into the high slot and let it rip. I feel like more goals come from there, and for whatever reason, we're so anxious to get the puck to the outside. Just take the shots where they are. You know what I'm saying? One thing I really liked moving away from special teams, Dave Hackstall went back to, I think, our most consistent line after the power plays. He went back to line 4, and I'm a really, really big fan of the Scott Lawton, Taylor Lear, Michael Raffle line. I also think Michael Raffle should potentially be on power play 1. I think he should be in the Valtteri Filppula spot, but that's just me. But yeah, he goes back to line 4 after the power play, and I really, 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 really think that that's a great move. That's a very good forechecking line. They bring it, and it's hard to go up against them. So being 2-1 this season, I'm very excited. I'm very positive. We had a very tough schedule to start the year, but being 2-1 and at least at worst finishing this traveling spree with a 500 record is going to be very exciting and very cool. So I want to go through some positives for me really quick. I think Jordan Wheel has brought it every night. The dude skates like it's nobody's business. He's a constant grinder, and he's in your face, but he's also got finesse. He's got good passes. I like that a lot. Even though they were only together for one game, the Travis Konecny, Nolan Patrick chemistry looks great. G looks back to normal, and I would love to see him back at center. Radko Gudas looked better in the third game than he did the first two. I think the first two he was still trying to kind of find his game, and I think he definitely quieted it down a little bit in the third game. Definitely stayed within himself. And I think Robert Haig looks very steady, very reliable, and that's kind of his game. He's not going to jump off the score sheet at you, but he is going to make the safe play, the steady play, the smart play. And I like that. I have 2-1. We played 3 great goalies early. Martin Jones last year had a 2.4 goals against average and a .912 save percentage. 2 fairly good numbers. Jonathan Quick, of course, hurt, but again, always towards the top of that. And John Gibson, 5th in goals against, 5th in save percentage with a .222 and a .924 save percentage. We've played in 2 home openers, and there's one more coming. Nashville is going to be a tough place to play, and it's going to be a tough game just because they are raising their Western Conference champions banner that night. So that they're going to be flying, and we're going to get into that a little more in a couple minutes. But now we're going to talk about my negatives. There's some stuff that I feel strongly about and that upsets me. One of the things I think is Dale Weiss and Valtteri Filppula, I feel like don't have a spot on this team. Dale Weiss being on this team means to me that the coaches think that he is better than Oscar Lindblom, and I'm not prepared to agree with that. And Valtteri Filppula, what you're telling me is that he's better at center than both Claude Giroux and Sean Couturier on that line because you put them together. Coots is not a finisher, and that's one of my negatives. Even though he scored and he got an assist on the game-winning goal and stuff tonight, Coots needs to finish. When you're playing with Claude Giroux and you're playing with Jake Voracek, you have the most shots on the team. You need to finish. 1 goal is not enough. And I know it's only 3 games in. I'm not pushing the panic button. I'm not saying it's all his fault. But the guy hasn't scored more than 40 points in a season. He needs to show us that he can finish to stay on that line. And I know that Dale Weiss isn't that finisher either, and neither is Valtteri Filppula. Filppula looks more for a pass than he looks for anything else, as his stats prove. So I would really, really like it if we somehow got out of this conundrum. Filppula, I don't think, has a place on this team. And like I said, I don't think he's a better center than Giroux. And I don't think Dale Weiss is a better winger than Oscar Lindblom. And, you know, Lindblom can play that role in the power play that Filppula is playing better, I think. And he's more built for it. You know, one of the things I have as well is that line of TK, Nolan Patrick, and Dale Weiss, they're all right-handed shots. And I don't like that. You have Oscar Lindblom on that line, very young line, but it's a very defensively responsible line. Nolan Patrick's very defensively responsible. Oscar Lindblom is very defensively responsible. TK got better with it last year as the year went on, but he's playing like a man possessed. And you have a guy like Oscar Lindblom who drives the net. He gets in the dirty areas and he scores those goals. Look at his highlight reel. It's not a bunch of snipes. You know, he gets in close, he jams the net, and pucks go in. He's a Swedish Wayne Simmons with better hair, that flow. It's so nice. The team doesn't look cohesive to me. They look like they're still a little choppy, and I guess that's because there has been so much turnover on the roster. They look like they're skating on top of each other from time to time, which is not super. Line 3, all right-handed. I talked about that already. We have odd man rushes that go the other way quite a bit. I noticed it more in the first period with Anaheim, but it wasn't as clean as it could have been, and I think it should have been. Turnovers have been a little extreme. The turnovers have been there, and it's something that we should be able to clean up, hopefully, as the season goes on and there is more cohesion. Stop trying to force so many passes, the cute passes. Like, it just frustrates me. Score the goal. Take the shot at net. We'll take the face-off. The backdoor play seems to be there for most teams. You know, Anaheim's tying goal, 1-1. The backdoor was wide open. And there's multiple people to blame for that. You know, they highlighted on it, you know, Jake Voracek shouldn't have been down low as a winger. It's not your job to be there. But at the same time, that's Travis Sanheim's guy. That's his guy. That's defense 101, and he got caught puck watching again. And I think Sanheim had a better game this game than he did against LA by like a lot. But that's still his guy, and he needs to be more defensively responsible in that area. I also feel like it should have been a better win. I know a win is a win, and the Flyers did kind of push the game to Anaheim, and John Gibson made some insane saves. But I feel like it should have been a better win for the Flyers. It should have been more devout because Anaheim was playing with half of their team, a third of their team, I think, literally was not suited up, including their captain and maybe one of the Selke finalists for the last 5-6 years, Ryan Kessler. You know, those are huge pieces. I just think that it should have been a more defiant victory, but I'll take the win. I'll take the points. I'm happy with that, but I just think moving forward, you know, hopefully less turnovers, less miscues in the offensive end. One of the things I noted too was that Scott Laughton, I think, looked really good, but early on he was kicked out of 2 faceoffs. Not something I think should happen too much, something you should try to not let happen because you're out there for your faceoff prowess. So don't do that. Don't get kicked out. Scott, I know you're watching, obviously. So something I'm going to do this time that I didn't do last time and was actually requested, I'm going to do a little bit of a segment talking about what's going on around the league. Obviously only 3 games in with the Flyers right now. So there's other things that we can talk about. Around the league, one of the things I haven't gotten to witness yet this season, but now that I have feelings. The Leafs-Rangers game, the Leafs were crushing them. Going into the first intermission, it was 5-2. Then after the second intermission, or going into the second intermission, it was 5-5, and the Leafs ended up winning 8-5. Now, the new league rule about coaches' challenges was I think a big product of what happened in that game. So Mitch Marner had the puck. It was in his gear, and he knocked it out, and they said he was onside. And by the tape, it looked like he was onside. But after that happened, after that play had concluded, Alain Vigneault challenged the play, got the challenge wrong, and then instead of, them taking the timeout like they did last season, I'm not sure if they still take it, but instead of taking the timeout like they did last season, they give a bench minor. And then I believe Toronto scored on either that ensuing power play or the one after. I stopped watching to watch the Flyers Anaheim game. And then I'm assuming an empty netter or another. But regardless, that's a huge momentum shift to go up a goal and then get a power play. I feel like that's just because the coach challenged the play, that's a bit extreme. And I know the league is going for more offense, but to take you basically took a win away, or at least a tie or something, the opportunity to win, and all of the momentum away from the Rangers. And this is coming from a Flyers fan. I just don't think that's fair. I don't think that's it's too big a cost. And then you're going to have people that don't want to challenge, and then you're going to have missed calls again. And the challenge is supposed to alleviate the issue of, coaches seeing a call and the refs missing it because the game is so fast. Coaches aren't going to want to do it if they're going to lose the challenge, so the goal or the play is going to stand, and then have to deal with a power play. It just doesn't make sense to me, and I don't like it. The Blackhawks, their demise may have been slightly overwritten. 15 goals in 2 games. The Winnipeg Jets starting goalie Steve Mason has more holes in him than Swiss cheese. As a Flyers fan, that makes me excited to say that wasn't a very amicable breakup. The Vegas Golden Knights, perfect so far this season. 2 wins in 2 games. It's very exciting to see, especially with all the sad stuff coming out of Las Vegas. It's good that they can get some wins and feel good about themselves. Around the league, Alexander Ovechkin is back. 7 goals in 2 games. It took him 11 games last year to get 2 goals. Only one of his goals this season is on the power play, so he's doing it all 5-on-5, which is very impressive. Only one on the power play. Last year, it took him 6 games to get to this point total and higher, because he had 3 points in that game, and that made him go to 9 instead of 7. But I feel like the unsung hero, Evgeny Kuznetsov, he just signed a new contract in the offseason, and he's obviously living up to the hype at the moment. So all the tales of demise in Washington may have been vastly overwritten, but as long as Braden Holtby can keep on what he's doing, he's got a 240 goals against average and a 930 save percentage. If he can maintain that, last season it was a 207 and a 925. I mean, the guy's going to win games for Washington, and they're going to win big. They have been winning big. But yeah, I mean, Washington looks dangerous. I thought the TJ Oshie signing was a mistake personally, but they're gearing up for one more cup run with this core, and then they're going to have to break it down. But we'll see. Washington looks dangerous. Pittsburgh's not playing wonderfully. They're 1-1-1, I believe. So so far the league is not playing out how I predicted it. Especially with Vegas winning their first 2 games. Awesome. Great for them. Expansion team doing well. It always feels good. So the last thing we're going to do before I cut this off, I want to talk about the game coming up on Tuesday, Nashville versus Philly. Hopefully I'll be able to get this out Monday at some point, so that this doesn't come out after the fact like my last video did. Like I already talked about, they will be raising their Western Conference Champions banner. So that's going to be a lot of momentum, I think, for them. Another great goalie in Pekka Rinne. So 4 for 4. That's the Flyers are putting up with a lot. Fortunately, though, no Ryan Ellis. They also lost Mike Fisher and James Neal, so those guys are gone. But they still have a great defense. They still have a great core of players and a coach that I believe in, and I think got a raw deal in Philly, Peter Laviolette. They've given up 4 goals in both games they've played, but again, I don't attribute that to a lot because Pittsburgh gave up 10 goals in one game. So we'll see what happens. I'm not banking on the Flyers putting in 4 behind Pekka, especially because they're raising the champions banner. And yeah, I mean, that's really it. I'm excited. I hope to see Michael Neuvirth. Guys, I want to stress again, this is all opinion based. I'm super excited for the season, and this is something that I decided I wanted to try and do and keep my friends and family and hopefully some other people in the loop and kind of just get my opinions across. So if there's anything you want me to talk about, anything you think, any questions, comments, concerns, please let me know. I'd love to talk to people about this. And yeah, guys, that is all I really have for this segment of the Florida Flyer. I will see you guys all next week.